Hare Krishna. So I welcome you all to the invocation of the Sri Ishopanishad. So in the last session, we have discussed about the introduction to Sri Ishopanishad, and today we're going to study the invocation mantra. So a brief overview before we start the session. So Ishopanishad, what is it? What does the word Ishopanishad mean? It is that scripture which takes one closer to God. Another name of God is Isha. Isha means God. So Ishopanishad means that Upanishad which takes one closer to God. So Ishopanishad appears in the Yajurveda. Okay, it appears in the Yajurveda. So so Ishopanishad as a book, it teaches the essence of the absolute truth. Yeah, that's what Ishopanishad mainly consists of. Today I'm going to deal with the overview of the entire Ishopanishad. So if you all have your pens and books ready, there are some few important points to note down that might help you in your future understanding of the entire book. Okay, so the entire book, Ishopanishad, it consists of 18 mantras and one invocation. So why should one read scriptures? Yeah, why should one read scriptures? So this is one important question which we need to know before we actually enter into this, a deeper study. So we all have something called a belief system. And the way we act and behave and the way we make choices in our life is essentially a product of our belief system. Yeah. Like, for example, let's say there is a non-believer of God. Yeah. So basically, his life is that kind of let's say some kind of whimsical. The decisions are made according to one's own desires and whims. Yeah. Let's say there is a believer of God, but he believes only God as a controller and a maintainer. So how does this person behave? This person will essentially be dutiful and very obedient to laws of God. But he or she has his own plans of fulfilling their desires in life. Yeah, they have their own material program. Then let's say there is a third person who believes in God as a person, uh, as a as a friend, as the true well-wisher. So if this is the belief of the person, of an individual, then what is this person's behavior? He genuinely surrenders to God and he offers his loving service. Yeah, loving service to God. So this goes to say that one's belief system is what actually brings about one's actions. So why are Shastras important? Because Shastras can essentially frame our belief system. Generally, how is this belief system formed? Belief system is formed by from the environment we are in, especially a child, a newly born child is actively absorbing so much from the culture that the child is born in, the environment the child is placed in, the kind of belief system that is followed by parents, people around, has an influence in a very subconscious way in the belief system of the child. And later, the literature that we are reading, the friends that we keep, and what we watch, all these have an impact on our belief system. Yeah. So this belief system is very, very strong. Oftentimes, it is said that the belief system lasts much longer than the believer. That means it comes with you. You carry it from lifetimes. So this is how important is the belief system of a person is, and the beauty is when we read background noise. Is everybody experiencing this? Is there some kind of background noise that you all hear? Or is it okay? Hare Krishna. Is everybody hearing the background noise or is it okay?
I think Madhushree was an unmute, Mataji.
Haribol, please confirm this to me. Is everybody hearing some background noise or is it only with you? Okay, just let me know on the chat. There is? Okay, let me try. Okay, please mute yourself. Everybody, please mute yourself and you won't hear the background noise. Okay, so let's. Yeah, okay. So let's continue. So we were discussing about beliefs, the belief system. Yeah. So whatever a person believes and acts accordingly becomes one's lifestyle. For example, you just see the lifestyle, observe the lifestyle of a person. It very eloquently speaks about the belief system of the person. It's simple. Yeah. You see so many people around you. Uh, and when you observe them closely, you see that their lifestyle is nothing but a product of their belief system. So, reading scriptures is very important and valuable because it bases our belief system on eternal truths. Yeah. And one whose belief system is based on scriptures, they grow up to make wise choices in their lives. The choices which, lead them to higher realms and not into degrading paths. So that is the importance and value of belief systems. So, and also, of course, reading of scriptures has another important aspect that it purifies one's existing belief system. So, I will share with you today the overview of Sri Ishopanishad. As I said, Ishopanishad has, Ishopanishad is one such very powerful scripture which can indeed, give a very solid foundation for uh, uh, you know, an authentic belief system. It's about the science of God. It's about the essence of the absolute truth and how to approach the absolute truth. So today I will just give you an overview of what Ishopanishad is. Please note down. As I said, Ishopanishad has one invocation mantra and then 18 mantras. It's a treatise of 18 mantras. So essentially, you can divide these 18 mantras into section 1 and section 2. So section 1 consists of mantras 1 to 8. Okay. Yeah, let me share so that it's very clear. Yeah. Okay, can you all see this? The structure of Sri Ishopanishad can be recognized in this picture. So Ishopanishad, as I said, has 18 mantras. This can be divided into section 1 and section 2, which I spoke about. Section 1 is mantras 1 to 8. Section 2 is mantras 9 to 18. And further division can be that in the section 1, the first 8 mantras, they deal with the vision of Sri Ishopanishad. Yeah, deals with the vision of Sri Ishopanishad. So in that, the foundational knowledge of the Supreme Person is given in the invocation, that which we are going to learn today. And the foundational knowledge of the Supreme Person is given in the invocation. Then mantras 1 to 3 speak about the practices for the living entities. What are the prescribed practices for living entities? That's given from mantras 1 to 3. Then mantras 4 to 5 again speak about the knowledge of the Supreme Person. Yeah, essentially invocation and mantras 4 and 5 is about the knowledge of the Supreme Person. And the first invocation is a foundational knowledge. Okay. And then mantras 6 to 8 speak about the knowledge and practice of spiritual vision. In other words, 6 to 8 is the vision of pure devotees. How do the pure devotees view this world? Yeah, Shastra Chakshu. It's called Shastra Chakshu. When you read scriptures and live by them, you develop what is called a Shastra Chakshu, a spiritual vision of this world. So what is that vision of pure devotees is given in mantras 6 to 8. Okay. So mantras 1 to 8 deal with the vision. Then after that, mantras 9 to 14 deal with some guidelines. Yeah. So 9 to 11 deals with guidelines for knowledge. That means what are the guidelines needed for acquiring knowledge? And what are the various guidelines for different practices? Yeah, this is what these guidelines are. Then mantras 15 to 18 deal with prayers. And this is a very beautiful section of Upanishad. 15 to 18 deal with prayers. So 15 to 16 is prayers for developing the knowledge of the vision. You know, you're praying to Krishna to give the knowledge of the vision of Upanishad.
Ujjvala Radha Mataji.
And 17 and 18 is the prayers for accepting our practices. So it's a very beautiful. Please mute yourself. There's a lot of disturbance. So in this way, this is a structuring of Upanishad. It's a very beautiful prayers of acceptance for this of one's practices. This is a final mantras of Upanishad, where the practitioner or the devotee prays to the Lord that, oh Lord, once when I leave this body, please kindly remember those little services that I have rendered to you. So these are some beautiful prayers that are offered. So this is how the Upanishad is structured. Okay. So I humbly request all of you to mute yourself somewhere. There's a little disturbance somewhere. Okay, guess all of you are muted. Yes. So, and then, so we spoke about the overview of Upanishad and then the sectioning part of how Upanishad is sectioned. So today we will discuss about the invocation mantra, which is a very, very important mantra. So today also being the World Mental Health Day, I'm sure learning this mantra and understanding its personal application in one's life will have a great impact on improvement of one's overall mental health. So I will tell you what the application is in due course of time. So let us get into the mantra without any further delay. It's a very, very beautiful invocation. I strongly recommend that you might memorize this mantra. and try to feel the true meaning of this mantra in the surroundings around you. Okay, let me share the screen. You can repeat after me while seeing the screen. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. Repeat. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. One final time. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavashishyate. So let us see what this means. Om, the complete whole. Word to word meaning. Purnam, perfectly complete. Other, that. Purnam, perfectly complete. Idam, this phenomenal world. Purnat, from the all perfect. Purnam, complete unit. Udachyate is produced. Purnasya, of the complete whole. Purnam, completely. All. Adaya, having been taken away. Purnam, the complete balance. Eva, even. Avashishyate is remaining. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. Yeah. Just keep a note of the number of times the word complete repeats in the translation and purport. Okay. It's one of the ecstatic purports I've ever read in my whole life. The personality of Godhead is perfect and complete. And because he's completely perfect, all emanations from him, such as this phenomenal world, are perfectly equipped as complete wholes. Whatever is produced of the complete whole is also complete in itself. Because he is the complete whole, even though so many complete units emanate from him, he remains the complete balance. Jai. Okay, purport. The complete whole or the supreme absolute truth is the complete personality of Godhead. Yeah. So, who is the complete whole here? The supreme absolute is the complete personality of Godhead. But so how do we realize him? Yeah. So, the complete whole is the supreme personality of Godhead. But this supreme personality of Godhead or the absolute truth is realized in three phases. Yeah. The phases of Brahman, then Paramatma, and Bhagavan. So, realizing the Brahman aspect of the absolute truth is realizing his Sat features. Sat or the eternal feature, eternal aspect. Then, higher than this is the realization of the Paramatma. Yeah, there is Brahman, then the next realization is Paramatma realization. So, realization of Paramatma is realizing both the Sat feature and also the Chit feature. That is the eternal aspect and the knowledge aspect. Yeah, Sat and Chit. And the highest form of realization is the Bhagavan realization. So the Bhagavan realization is the realization of God or Supreme Absolute Truth in his Bhagavan, in his Brahman feature, Paramatma feature, and also his Bhagavan feature. That is realizing the Sat aspect, Chit aspect, and also the Ananda aspect. It's also called realizing him as eternal, full of knowledge and bliss, Sat, Chit, and Ananda. So God is Vigraha, Sachidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means a personal form. So God is a person. To understand his personal form is the highest realization of the absolute truth. There is some, a vague understanding about God amongst the public in general, that God is light. Yeah, if you ask somebody a vague question, what do you know about God? Some say God is light, God has no form. Some say God is everywhere. Some say God is in your heart. Some say God is somewhere in Vaikuntha. What is correct? All are correct. Yeah, it is true that God is everywhere. That is his Brahman feature. Yeah, it is true that God is in everyone's heart. That's a Paramatma feature. And it is also true that Bhagwan is in his abode. That is the Bhagavan feature. So, understanding of God is an all inclusive concept. Some people falsely claim without an evidence that God is formless. Yeah. How can you call God formless? The, you know, anything that is there in the creation should essentially be a part of creator. Yeah. So a creator cannot be less than his own creation. So in his creation, everybody has forms. Everybody has beautiful forms. Why do some people have to say that God has no form? Yeah. So Prabhupada is very, very serious about this kind of an offensive understanding about God. Yeah. So, or, some people say the form of God is Maya. These are the Mayavadis. They're very, very dangerous. Srimad Mahaprabhu says that if you ever hear the bhashya of the Mayavadis, Mayavada bhashya shunile sarva nasha hoya. Yeah. All your whatever spiritual credits are there, they are just vanquished simply by hearing about the Mayavadi bhashya. So these are like inappropriate understanding of God. So the complete whole, yeah, Purnamada, Lord Krishna is a Purna Purushottam. He is the supreme absolute truth. And he is understood in this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan feature. And the complete understanding of the supreme absolute truth is in understanding his Satchit and Ananda feature. Is essentially the Bhagavan feature. Yeah. So next, what does Prabhupada say about this? Yeah. If he were formless or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. So this is a false claim of people, right? Some people say God is formless, Nirakar. Nirakar Bhagwan. Ek hi Bhagwan hai, wo Nirakar Bhagwan hai. These are some famous concepts of God. You should ask them, where is your reference? Yeah, if he were formless or if he were less than his creation in any other way, he could not be complete. The complete whole must contain everything both within and beyond our experience. Otherwise, he cannot be complete. See, this is basically the juice of Isopanishad. Isopanishad appeals, generally all the Upanishads appeal to the intellectual class. It's a feast for the intelligence, understanding these variegated features and, you know, uh, like pondering upon one word and then analyzing and synthesizing. It's very ecstatic for someone who's intellectually oriented. Yeah, there's a lot of rasa in this. Let's go to the next paragraph. Uh, yeah. So then Prabhupada speaks about the world around us. First, Prabhupada spoke about Krishna, the absolute, the complete whole or the supreme absolute truth. Now, Purna Mudachyate. Yeah, that is a phenomenal world. Yeah. So first the complete whole, then the phenomenal world. So Prabhupada is next speaking about the phenomenal world. That is the world has manifested around us. So the complete whole, the personality of Godhead has immense potencies, all of which are complete as he is. So all the potencies of Krishna are also complete. Thus, this phenomenal world is also complete in itself. The 24 elements of which this material universe is a temporary manifestation are arranged to produce everything necessary for the maintenance and subsistence of this universe. Yeah. So the universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed. And when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. So everything is already there. There is nothing that the Lord has provided for maintenance of a person. Yeah, every living entity, like for example, the birds, trees, the animals, the arrangement for their food, the nourishment, and their maintenance is already provided by God. Yeah, that's a complete arrangement. This whole universe is created in such a way that it has automatically it automatically provides for everybody's maintenance. Yeah, that is the beauty of God's creation. There is no dearth. Yeah, in fact, forget dearth. There is only abundance in nature. If anybody has this, sensitivity towards nature and has ever closely observed nature, it's very clear that there is a lot of abundance in nature. You see the number of seeds that are there in each fruit. So many, multiple. That's the abundance of nature. And out of all those seeds, probably one sprouts and becomes a giant tree. Yeah, but the nature produces bounty. So is it with the number of eggs that fish produce, multiple, out of which only one makes it to become a small fishlet. So nature always gives abundance. There is no dearth. So this is the arrangement. Why? Because this nature is an emanation. It has come from the Supreme Lord. It's originated from the Supreme Absolute Truth. So it is complete in itself that it completely provides for or facilitates the needs and maintenance of every individual being. Yeah. And then comes a powerful statement. All facilities are given to the small complete units. Who are the small complete units? We, the living beings, to enable them to realize the complete whole. Very, very important. And all forms of, this is the most important line. Please note this down. All forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. Yeah, I repeat, all forms of incompleteness are experienced due to incomplete knowledge of the complete whole. So here's a celebration of the words World Mental Health Day. Yeah. Some of us, or most of us, sometimes we feel as if lost and we have a sense of incompleteness in our life. We feel something's missing, something's lacking, even if everything is there around us. How many of us have gone through this feeling? Even though everything is just perfect, going on without much disturbance, and or maybe things are not happening according to what you have expected, or no matter what's the situation around, oftentimes we just have this slump where we begin to feel that a sense of incompleteness. So researchers have found there are three reasons for this feelings of incompleteness in one's life. Why does a person feel incomplete? Number one, they called it an existential angst. An existential angst or fear is that angst is anxiety. In German, angst is another word for anxiety. Existential anxiety. What is that? Sometimes from a very deep layers of subconscious, there are some questions that arise. Recently, I met a girl and I went to Varanasi. She was asking me this question. Sometimes, Mataji, I don't know if she's there in the class. I feel, why am I born? What are these people around me? Why am I living? What is this life? These are called existential questions. What is the purpose of my life? Why are people born? Why is there suffering? So this is called existential angst. And until this angst actually surfaces sometimes under some kind of astrological combinations or because of some past life quest that was left unanswered. If you see actually lives of great saints and sages, this kind of existential question arise very early in their lives. And it is such a burning quest that once this quest arises, they cannot keep quiet. If you read the book Journey Home, you have to see, His Holiness Radhanath Swami Maharaj, how he's traveled all the way from Europe to India, hitchhiking. Why? To answer this one thing called the existential queries, existential angst. So this is why this is one of the reasons that experts have given as the cause for a feeling of incompleteness in one's life, existential angst. Second reason is a person does not understand one's place in the universe. This is again another cause of incompleteness, a feeling of incompleteness. Like, for example, a person does not know what is one's role, what is one's unique contribution to the world, what is one's purpose. When they're not understanding these truths, or when they're not yet uncovered, when they haven't realized these facts, this also gives rise to the feelings of incompleteness. Yeah, not knowing uh, one's role in the universe is another cause of incompleteness. What's a third cause? So, third cause of incompleteness is not feeling sufficiently loved. So, when a person does not feel sufficiently loved, if the loving propensity is not satiated, then a person begins to feel very incomplete in life. So, these are the three reasons why a person feels incomplete in one's life. So this has been given by the modern day researchers, and which Prabhupada, yeah, and in fact, most of these the mental health issues are arising from this core dissatisfaction of feeling incomplete in one's life. Yeah, when a person does not understand the purpose of life, the meaning of one's existence, not feeling sufficiently loved, that's a root of all sorts of mental inebrities, manifesting in various forms of anxieties and depressions and others, like psychopathological conditions. So these are that is why these are called the existential questions. That means they define your existence. So without properly having these existential questions answered, the very foundations of your being are not strong. Yeah. So that's why people experience vulnerability, fragility. So this is where the Upanishads come to give us, this structure to our, in our belief system, which is solid, founded on eternal truths. So what we're discussing about incompleteness, Prabhupada gave it in one line. All incompleteness is experienced because of the incomplete understanding of the complete whole. Because why are we experiencing this incompleteness? Because we have not completely understood Krishna, in other words. So how to overcome this existential incompleteness? By beginning to understand Krishna. Yeah. So this is, Happy World Mental Health Day. So and human form of life is very, very precious, because in this only, there are 8,400,000 species of life, and only in the human form of life, a person can realize the complete whole. Yeah. And if in the human form of life, the living entity does not realize his completeness in relation to the complete whole, he loses the chance to realize his completeness and is again put into the evolutionary cycle by the law of material nature. So when you get these queries, please take them seriously. Yeah, please take the queries seriously and answer them, because the answers to these questions, yeah, are the very purpose of human life. Athato Brahma Jigyasa. Athato means therefore. So why has a Vedanta Sutra began with therefore? You have taken the human form of life. Therefore, inquire about the absolute truth. Now, this is where our human life begins. Our human life begins when we begin to inquire about the higher truths. Recently, in a discussion, I was speaking about 10 great women personalities. Yeah, one of these 10 great personalities is Maitreyi, and she's known for her great spiritual acumen. Yeah, her husband is Yajnavalkya. Yeah, so Yajnavalkya Muni, his first wife is Maitreyi, and his second wife is Katyayani. So after growing up, I mean, after some period of time in marriage, Yajnavalkya renounces, and what all he has, huge amount of wealth, and what all wealth he has, he divides it amongst his two wives, and he's about to leave. Yeah, one is to Queen Maitreyi, and another is to Queen Katyayani, and he's about to leave home. So at that time, interestingly, Maitreyi goes to Yajnavalkya, and she asks, "Oh, my dear husband." Yeah. Generally, what is the reaction of wife when the husband is leaving, and after, of course, after leaving behind a lot of wealth, either the wealth is taken and with gratitude and enjoy after that, or the wife runs behind the husband saying, "Why are you leaving? Stay back." Right? It's a general expected reaction. But here is Maitreyi, who comes to Yajnavalkya, and she asks, "My dear husband, today you are leaving behind, all your wealth and your family connections, and you're leaving home. That means there is something higher than this. There is something higher than the material opulence, the riches, and even family relationships. May I please know what is that pursuit which is far superior to all these, for which you're leaving behind all of us and going?" So Yajnavalkya was very pleased with the question of his wife, Maitreyi, and he begins to answer all these. The nature of the absolute truth, and why one should, how the pursuit of this absolute truth is the greatest thing one can do in life, putting aside everything. So in this way, women in the scriptures have shown great spiritual acumen and inquired, made the right inquiries, and benefited themselves and also the world. So, yeah. So one should therefore utilize one's power of inquiry in understanding the higher truths. Yeah. So what is one way? Here also there's one more very important lesson here. Because we do not know, here, I'll underline this, because we do not know that there is a complete arrangement in nature for our maintenance, we make efforts to utilize the resources of nature to create a so-called complete life of sense enjoyment. And because a living entity cannot enjoy the life of senses without being dovetailed with the complete whole, the misleading life of sense enjoyment is illusion. Yeah. Just like, let's say, the hand is a unit of this body, just as we are part and parcel of Krishna. So when this hand is detached, chopped off, and it's lying on the ground, yeah, it has no meaning. It does not function. Why? Because although it is fully functional when it is connected to the body, it becomes dysfunctional when it is disconnected from the body. Similarly, every living entity is complete. Yeah, it's a complete whole. But when the complete whole, which is a living entity, is disconnected from the absolute complete whole, yeah, then it becomes dysfunctional. It experiences the incompleteness. Yeah. So when in this way, when a living entity's senses are dovetailed with the supreme absolute truth, then that living entity again regains its sense of completeness. This is very deep science to be understood and pondered over. Why do I feel incomplete? It is because of engaging my senses in my sense enjoyment. Yeah, just like the hand being separated from the body. So when the hand is in connection with the body, that's when the hand is truly functional, efficient. Yeah, that's how when the living entity is aligned with the Supreme Lord, is functional. So then I'll tell you a final concept of annihilation and the different types of annihilation. Let's see this. Yeah. The universe functions on its own time scale, which is fixed by the energy of the complete whole. And when that schedule is completed, this temporary manifestation will be annihilated by the complete arrangement of the complete whole. So basically, this entire universe is like a time machine. Yeah, time machine. Already the time is fixed. Yeah, and when the time is completed, the universe is annihilated on its own. So there is Srimad Bhagavatam mentions 4 different types of annihilation. Yeah, so we will just discuss this and close. Bhagavatam describes 4 different types of annihilation. What are they? One is the constant annihilation. Yeah, nitya. Second is the occasional annihilation, naimittika. The third is a material annihilation, which is called prakritika. And fourth is the final annihilation, which is the atyantika. So what's the first? Nitya or constant annihilation. So if you see, please listen to this carefully. This entire universe is in a state of constant annihilation. This entire universe is in a state of constant annihilation, constant change. Like, for example, if you see, but it is very imperceptible. The time factor is very, very imperceptible, that you cannot see the changes around you. Like, for example, can you perceive the nails growing? No. I mean, can you actually see them grow? You don't. But you see them they have grown. And you see that the hair has also grown, right? But you don't actually perceive them, right? You don't see them grow little by little, but you actually see them. That is what it means by time is imperceptible. The way it acts is very imperceptible. This is what is constant. See, the nails are growing, the hair is falling, and the cells are constantly undergoing change. It is said that and every different cell has a different period of time that they survive. The neural cell has a different age. The skin cell has a different age. Now, all the cells are constantly growing and they're dying and they're regenerated. Like, for example, you have a cut and a part of your skin tears. After some time, the skin grows back again, right? So in this way, there is a constant change that this whole world is going on. And this change is imperceptible to the eyes. And the sun is also constantly moving in the sky, from the east to west. But when you're looking at the sky, do you actually see the sun moving? No, you don't see. So this is how change is very imperceptible. And this is called a constant change. Yeah, annihilation is constant. Constantly, No, there is annihilation that is going on. The body is dying. The moment you're born, the body is dying, dying, dying. The next type of annihilation is naimittika, yeah, or it is called the occasional annihilation. What is this occasional annihilation? This happens once in the night of Brahma. So if there are four yugas, which is the Kali, the Dvapara, the Treta Yuga, and the Satya Yuga. So these four yugas together is called one yuga cycle. And 100 such yuga cycles, 1,000 such yuga cycles is equal to 1 day of Lord Brahma. Yeah. So this 1 day is also called one kalpa. So this kalpa is also equal to the time of 14 manus, or 14 manvantaras. So after this 1 day of Brahma, it is followed by one night of Brahma. So interestingly, what happens in this night of Brahma is that there is a Mahapralaya. In this Pralaya, what happens is all the 14 planetary systems, yeah, they all are annihilated. So 12th canto of Bhagavatam gives a very, very detailed description of how this annihilation actually takes place. There is a Pralaya, there is Mahapralaya. So this happens once in every day of Brahma. Yeah. The day of Brahma finishes, and then the night of Brahma comes. In the night of Brahma, what happens is this entire universe is all the planetary systems, 14 planetary systems have collapsed. And they're absorbed into the Supreme Lord. And then once in every lifetime of Brahma, this is what is Prakritika, or it is also called material annihilation, Prakritika annihilation. So that means in 100 years of Brahma, at the end of 100 years of Brahma, there is another Pralaya that takes place. In that Pralaya, not just the planetary systems, but the universal egg, the universal egg, which has 7 layers of earth, water, fire, air, ether, intelligence, ego. Yeah, these are the 7 layers. And above that is the pradhana, the unmanifest form. So this entire egg shell, the anda, also is annihilated. So the Bhagavatam describes there will be a period of 100 years of absolutely no rain. How this period of Mahapralaya looks like. 100 years of absolutely no rain. The sun itself is absorbing every drop of water from the surface of the earth. All the rivers and oceans, everything are empty. And all human beings they die miserably, eating each other because of being in the state of zero water. And after that, the sun blazes forth and it just dries up the entire planetary systems. And then what happens after 100 years of this no rainfall? There is again 100 years of very fierce winds. Yeah, fierce winds that the entire sky becomes so gray. And after that, again, 100 years of non-stop rainfall. Yeah, so in this way, the entire this under, is filled with, the whole cosmos is filled with water. So, and finally, all these different elements of earth, water, fire, air, and ether, they're absorbed into each other. And finally, they go back into their initial form of, the unmanifest form of pradhana. Yeah, pradhana, at the time of creation, everything manifests from pradhana. And then at the end of universe, what happens is everything goes back, all the manifestations of the Panchabhutas and all 24 elements, they go back into their unmanifest form of Pradhana. So this is what happens in the end of the life of Brahma. Yeah. This is the Prakritika Pralaya. So first one is what? Constant, Nitya. Second is Naimittika. Third is Prakritika or material annihilation. And fourth is Atyantika. This is a very interesting form of annihilation. What is Atyantika annihilation? So this is a form of annihilation which happens when a living entity, when the living entity inquires about the absolute truth and begins to hear about Lord Krishna. Yeah. And then begins a practice of a path that which will liberate one from these layers of false ego. This is the ultimate form of annihilation. That means the living entity is liberated from this material cosmos. This is the fourth type of annihilation, which is called Atyantika. So this is in the hands of a living entity. The first three are in the hands of superior power of the Supreme Lord. And a living entity cannot do anything about it. The constant can anybody stop aging? No. Yeah, constant annihilation, nobody can stop it. Then occasional naimittika at the end of Brahma's day, Mahapralaya that comes, can anybody handle it? We can't even stop a rainfall. What can we stop a pralaya? Annihilation. Can we stop the uh, prakritika, the pralaya that happens once at the end of life of Brahma? Impossible. But atyantika, the annihilation of one's material existence and returning back to one's spiritual nature, this is invested in the hand of living entity. And Ishopanishad is that Upanishad which can actually empower one and enable one, to become freed from this clutches of illusion and form, pave our path back to God, the path of illumination, away from this very scary material nature. The more you study about material nature, the more you'll understand how much we are bound, how much we are entangled. So understanding Upanishads, especially Sri Ishopanishad, helps us to detach ourselves from these illusory ropes that are binding us and move closer to the principle of Isha through our practices and by modifying our belief systems. Yeah. So spiritual advancement is simply this: knowledge plus practice. Simply acquiring knowledge and not practicing does not result in spiritual advancement. At the same time, practices without knowledge are not sustainable. So the recipe for spiritual advancement is knowledge plus practice. And Ishopanishad is that book, that beautiful book that gives us an understanding of the knowledge and the practices required to understand Isha. So I will end here. I will just summarize what I spoke today. Today we learned about the invocation mantra of Sri Ishopanishad, and we have also seen the overview of the book of Ishopanishad. The invocation mantra, we have understood about the complete nature of the absolute truth, how God Himself, the absolute truth in itself is complete, and then His creation, this material world, is complete. And the emanations, the tiny living entities, are given the complete opportunity in the human form of life, yeah, to understand their completeness by understanding their relationship with the complete whole. And if this opportunity is lost, then they have to go back into the evolutionary cycle of the 8,400,000 species and again wait to come back to the human form to again get this opportunity to reconnect with the complete whole. And then in this material world, material universe is in a state of constant annihilation. Yeah. And the living entity is gifted, especially in the human form of life, is gifted with this ability to reconnect to the supreme absolute whole truth by appropriate spiritual inquiry and by practices. So this is in essence, the book of Sri Ishopanishad. And next week we will start with Mantra 1. Any questions? I don't know if it was pretty heavy, but Upanishads are that way. You have to be very attentive, and the subject matter is little high, but it has been simplified by Prabhupada for us. Any question? Or any discussion?